Hi everyone, it's Mrs. Wyatt from Mrs. Wyatt's Wise Owl Teacher Creations. And today we're going to talk about a new resource that I have called Simple Strategies to Effectively Teach High Frequency Words. And this is a new series within our session, Teaching Reading with Mrs. Wyatt. So the first thing we want to start with is what exactly are high frequency words? Did you know that most high-frequency words are decodable and can be taught once students have learned sound and letter correspondences? So in this example, the high-frequency words that we're working with all have short vowels, and they're all closed syllables. And a closed syllable is when you have a vowel that is closed in by one or more consonants. Now, this is the generalization. There are some examples where the vowel won't make the short vowel sound, and we'll talk about that in just a little while. So when you're teaching students to read, you can start off with two phonemes. And in this case, once students have learned that sound to symbol correspondence, they should be able to read and spell these words. So this one would be at, am. Once they have mastered two phonemes, words with two phonemes, you can move to three phonemes. And now let's talk about there are two types of high frequency words. Now, when we're talking about high frequency words, we are talking about words that students are going to encounter most in their reading passages. And there are two types. You have decodable high frequency words and you have irregular high frequency words. Now, decodable high-frequency words are when all the sounds within the word follow the general sound to symbol correspondence. And once students are explicitly taught that phonics feature, they should be able to decode and spell those high-frequency words. So you can actually incorporate those high-frequency words within whatever phonics skill session that you are teaching. And this is just another example of their closed syllables, and the words all have the short A sound. Now let's talk about irregular high frequency words. So within irregular high frequency words, sometimes you will have what we consider temporarily irregular words. And that's because the phonics feature hasn't been taught. So in the high frequency word has, the h and the a are, that sound to symbol correspondence is regular. So students should be able to read that portion of the word. It's when they get to that z part of the word that it needs to be taught. And that is the S is considered irregular until students learn that S says z when after a short vowel. And once they've learned that, then this word would be completely decodable. Only about 25% of high frequency words are not decodable, and that's because the spelling pattern within the word doesn't follow the general sound to symbol correspondence. So in this example, the sight word said, the s and the d are considered regular because that sound to symbol is correlating. It's that AI that's not. In the word said, the AI is saying eh. It's not saying the long A sound. It's not saying A. And that's why that AI is considered irregular. When you encounter these, what we have the students do is sometimes they're going to mark that part of it. You'll see that some places they recommended they do the heart word strategy where the students would put a heart over top of that AI and they would have to know that portion of the word by heart. You also could highlight that section of the word just so long as you are actually explicitly teaching to children that that part of the word is not regular and that's just the part that they're going to have to learn and remember. So one way to help with teaching high frequency words is to actually group them by syllable type and by phonics feature. And that's what is included to my email list subscribers. And like I said, that link is in the description below. But I have in this freebie, It's all the short vowels and the high frequency words that go with those short vowels. So we're going to take a second and look at these lists. So this one is the short A, and it's labeled by the VC pattern, the CVC pattern, the CCVC pattern, and then I have it labeled as beginning digraphs. Then you move to the CCVCC pattern, which can be beginning and ending digraphs. Then we're going to move to the CCVC, which is your blends. And then you also have your ending blends. And then there's a section where you have beginning and ending blends or digraphs. And then I have a section at the bottom that's going to be any word that is considered irregular. And it's going to show what part of that word is irregular and what the word actually says. So this was the short A. Then we moved to short E. And then there's short I. And remember earlier we were talking about how closed syllables, typically in a closed syllable, you're going to have a vowel and it's going to be closed in by one consonant. And I say at least one consonant because like the digraph, that's two consonants, but still a closed syllable. And the vowel typically is going to say its sound. Now when you're teaching this to kids, you're going to say typically because there are some exceptions. So for down here at the bottom, the long I closed syllable exception is I, and actually O as well. I can say its long sound if it is before two consonants. So that is why in the word find, if you notice you have the vowel and then there's two consonants following it, that is why that I says I. Find and kind. And wouldn't students know this? Then it's not considered irregular anymore. It's a concept that they should be able to apply in their reading and spelling. And then O it's grouped the same way. Now you will notice there's no words in the VC column, and that's because there were not any when I was doing my list. And then you come down here, the long O, closed syllable exception, and that's just what I teach my kids. There are sometimes exceptions. I and O can say its long sound if it's before two consonants. And that's why in the word old, that O says O, because that O comes before the LD. So you have old, cold, and hold. And here's the short U list. And like I said, it's labeled by, these are closed syllables and they're short vowels. And now let's talk about 3 engaging activities that you can use to teach high frequency words. So the first thing that I do with my students is we model and then we provide guided practice before they move to their independent practice. So you can have a student sheet where you have your high frequency words where they are grouped by syllable type and vowel sound. And then here are the teacher notes, and that's just what would guide you in your explicit instruction. And depending on your kids, you could have them take some notes explaining why the words are decodable. In this case, I would just have them label that these words are closed. And when you get to a word that is considered irregular, I would have them highlight the irregular part and then explain to them why it's irregular and why they have to just learn that part. And like I said, you may see some people consider this as a heart word. The second engaging strategy that you can use to help students learn to read and spell high frequency words is phoneme graphing mapping. So in this case, you would use that list based on whatever phonics skill that you're using. And in this resource, I am just focusing on short vowels. I will have a resource coming out that has all of the different phonics skills that will be coming out soon. So in this case, the syllable type is it's closed. The phonics pattern is short A, and so the teacher would say, spell am, and then the student would repeat the word am, and then they would tap those sounds, am. And then they would put, you could put chips in the phoneme boxes, or you could have them with their pencil put X's, but you want them to count the number of phonemes or the number of sounds. So you want them to recognize that a word is made of sounds, and then you want them to spell the graphemes. So you want them to make the connection that says that first sound is I, and that I in this case is spelt with an A. And then you would go to the second phoneme, so am, is spelt with an M, and they would write that in the graphing portion of the graphic organizer. They would write the letter M, and then they're going to write the full word. Now, I do have a resource that will be coming out soon that all of these activities that I'm sharing with today, you could be able to purchase and download and use in your classroom. And then the last engaging strategy that you could use is just fun, interactive games. That helps with practice. The more students have learned a skill, the more they can practice it, the more that it's going to go to long-term memory. You're going to move from accuracy, so from them getting it correct, to it actually becoming automatic. And that's where we want to be. We want them to be automatic. That's where they will be able to read and spell words and it seem as though they're not thinking about it. That's because it's already in their long-term memory and they just know that skill. It's become automatic. And in this game, you would print these cards off on colored cardstock, and then you would shuffle the cards together, and I have the extra turns and lose a turn in random places within the game deck, and students draw a card and they read it. If they read it correctly, they get to keep the card. If they don't read it correctly, it goes to the bottom of the stack and they get a chance to try again later. And then the extra turn is just that. If they draw an extra turn, they get to go again. If they lose a turn, then the next player gets to go. At the end of the game, the student that has the most game cards, that's the winner, and they absolutely love to play this game. So I hope you enjoyed this session today. If you have any questions or comments, please comment in the comment section below, and be sure to follow and subscribe so that you can see all of my new videos when they come out.